Okay, today I want to talk about Berkeley. Berkeley is an empiricist, and he follows he follows Locke. Um, Let me say a little about Locke again. Locke, and then I'll get to Berkeley. Just kind of repeat a little about Locke. The main things about Locke that you need to, when you read Locke and in your notes, that the main things that you should have down about Locke are his distinction between simple ideas and complex ideas. Simple ideas, complex ideas. Simple ideas resemble, that's the key thing. Simple ideas resemble primary qualities in the object. So my simple idea of red, my simple idea of the shape of this apple, the shape actually, Locke believes, is actually in the apple. It's a primary quality. It's actually characteristic of the apple. My idea of the shape actually resembles the shape of the apple. My idea of the weight, I feel it has a certain weight to it, that actually resembles the weight of the apple. Okay, these are actually in the apple. The figure, the weight, the size, all this stuff is actually in the apple. My simple ideas of those actually resemble the apple. My simple idea, for example, of red, though, does not resemble anything in the apple. For Locke, the apple is not red. The redness is in my mind. This idea ultimately goes back to Galileo. And it's an idea that I think I think most people find it very strange when they first hear it. I think if you ask most people, tell me something about this apple, they'll tell you it's red. And Locke and Descartes would say they are totally mistaken. This apple is not red. If you ask them something about fire, they'll say, tell me something about fire, and they'll say fire is very hot. It's very hot, and Locke would say again, and Descartes would say, that's not true. There's no heat. Fire is not hot or cold. The hot and the perception of hot and cold is in us. It's not in the fire. No one would say, for example, that fire is painful, right? Why don't we say fire is painful? When we touch fire, we feel pain. And yet when we are getting near to fire, it feels hot, and yet we say fire is hot. Yet we don't say fire is painful. Locke and Descartes would say fire is neither one. Fire is neither painful nor is it hot. Snow is not white. Trees are not green. The sky is not blue. These are all secondary qualities, and our simple ideas of these secondary qualities for Locke and Descartes. For Locke, I don't think Descartes doesn't use that terminology. That's Locke uses it. But secondary qualities do not resemble anything in the apple whatsoever. So secondary qualities are in the mind. So going back to the Venn diagrams, I talked about this a long time ago. So I drew two circles. I'll do it again. Remind you. Let's say everything in this circle here has a subjective ontology. Meaning, anything that has a subjective ontology depends on a subject to be experienced. Some subject has to be experiencing it. So, and then over here are things that are observer dependent. So let me give you some examples. Something that's observer dependent, it exists whether anybody is observing it or not. So, for example, rocks. Rocks will be here. Rocks are here because they're not observer dependent. Rocks exist independently of anyone looking at them. Same thing for mountains and water. All these things exist whether anyone is looking at them or not. Take this apple here. This apple exists whether anyone is looking at it or not. Take this pen here. The material out of which it is made, so the pen, and I'm talking about the material out of which it is made, so I'll write material, exists. It's observer independent. It exists whether anyone's looking at it or not. I don't know I guess some type of plastic So this object as a physical object is observer independent, but the pen, I'll put quotations around it, meaning the pen as a pen, the fact that this is a pen is observer dependent, because it depends upon human beings who take it to be a pen. Creatures from outer space who have never seen a pen would not take this to be a pen. It would not be a pen for them. And somebody from a different culture, say, for example, that has never seen a pen, this would not be a pen. It would simply be a material object. So it's being a pen is observer dependent. It depends upon us here, someone over here, taking it to be a pen. Okay. Now in this section here, there's nothing here, so I'll darken it out. Because and so this is a Venn diagram, so there's nothing in this section here, because there can't be anything, because anything, this is in this circle here, everything in this circle is observer dependent, meaning it depends upon some person perceiving it. Well, it depends upon a subject. It depends upon somebody over here. So anything that's here, anything that's in this circle is it's observer dependent, has a subjective ontology. It has to be in the circle. It has a subjective ontology because it's dependent upon a subject perceiving it. So this pen, for example, I put quotation around it. It's being a pen is observer dependent, and it has a subjective ontology. On the other hand, let's say this person here has certain feelings, certain pains, pleasures, and I'll just put desires and beliefs. Now, all these desires and beliefs and pleasures and pains have a subjective ontology, but they are not observer dependent. When I am in pain, irrespective of whether anyone is looking at me, observing me. So anyway, let me erase this now. So let me show you, so let me draw another diagram here, the same thing. So we have, in this circle here, anything in this circle has a subjective ontology. Anything in this circle is observer dependent, meaning it depends on somebody looking at it or perceiving it, so observer dependent. So rocks would be out here. There's nothing here. There can nothing be in this section here. Now let's think of Descartes for a second. Descartes has two substances: souls, immaterial substances, and matter. The immaterial substances, or the souls, are here for Descartes because a soul is a soul. My soul, for example, is. It doesn't depend upon anybody observing me. The same thing for every other soul. But matter, like rocks and trees and mountains, so I'll just put matter. Matter for Locke, for Descartes, does not have a subjective ontology, because matter for Locke is just pure extension. For Descartes, matter is simply extension, extended in space. Souls are the essence of a soul is thought, to think, to have consciousness. So souls have a subjective ontology. Matter is here. Okay, that's Descartes. Okay, this is Descartes. Now, for Descartes, the colors, he doesn't actually use the terminology that Locke uses, but the colors, the taste of an apple, for example, would be here. The apple, I'll put the apple here, meaning as a thing, as an extended. The apple has, what's in the apple is, an apple is it's extended in space, and it has a certain weight, has a certain shape. These are actually in the apple, but the color and the taste are here. They are observer dependent. Okay, they're not actually in the apple. That's Descartes. For Locke, let me do the Venn diagram for Locke. For Locke, you have this is subjective ontology. So anything in here has to be experienced by some subject. Anything in this circle is observer dependent. So this is all blocked out. Okay. Okay, so this is John Locke. Let's see. The colors, I'll think of the color here, colors. Think of an apple, the color red, the taste. These are here. The shape is out here. The substance is out here. But the substance is something I know not what, the weight and so on. The weight, the substance, the shape. Whether it's moving or at rest. The subjective ontology, the person actually looking at it, the soul, Locke believed we have a soul, which is an immaterial substance. So this is Locke. We have a soul, the self, which has a subjective ontology. Substances, material substances are out here. Substances are out here, material substances. So things, I'll put material. Material substances are out here. Immaterial substances are here. That's the soul, immaterial. And the soul has beliefs, desires, I won't write them all in, beliefs, desires, pains, and pleasures. Okay, these are all real. They are observer dependent. Anyway, for Locke, the soul is here. The immaterial soul is here, because he did believe we have an immaterial soul, and material substances are here. Locke would say he doesn't know what the soul is. It's something I know not what, but he believes we know we do have a soul, because if we know we have beliefs and desires, pleasures and pains, and something has to have a belief or a desire, just like something has to be red. That's the apple. It's something I know not what, but something has to be red. And Locke would say the same thing for immaterial substances. Something has to have a belief. Something has to have a desire. Something has to be in pleasure. Something has to be in pain. You can't simply have pleasures and pains, the beliefs and desires of no one. They can't just be floating in space. So that's the soul. And so, the color and the taste is in here because they are observer dependent. But the color and the taste, the shape and the weight are here. And Locke did believe in God, so for Locke, God would be here. For Locke, God is here, because Locke did believe that we could, reflection demands, and he gives reasons for it. One of the reasons Locke believes that there has to be God is that we have consciousness, and consciousness for Locke cannot be explained as coming from anything that is not conscious. Anyway, but Locke did believe that God existed, so God would be here, and Descartes also did too. But this is Locke. So when you read the philosophers, a good thing to do is to draw two circles. One is observer dependent, one is subjective ontology, and just try to put a few things in the sections to see what their ontology is. Locke and Descartes pretty much have the same ontology. They have a different epistemology. They have different views about what counts as knowledge and what does not. But their ontology is pretty much the same. Okay, and next video I'll talk more about Berkeley. I didn't really talk about Berkeley today, so next time I'll talk about Berkeley.